let's talk about epiphytes. Now, the base definition of an epiphyte is a plant that grows on another plant. However, it is a little bit more complicated than that. Starting off, epiphytes are distinct from parasites. There are certain parasitic plants like mistletoe that also live on another plant. However, they are parasitic, so they take nutrients and do at least some level of harm to the host plant. However, epiphytes, for the most part, do little to no harm to the other plant that they happen to be growing on. Now, there are actually quite a few different types of epiphytes. Largely, mosses tend to be epiphytes if they're growing on other plants, as well as lichens, even though lichens aren't plants, they are weird little mixes of algae and fungus, but they're typically classed as epiphyte adjacent. Also, the air plants that you can buy, those are in the wild, naturally epiphytic. Epiphytes are also very common in rainforest canopies. There's a whole host of many different types of epiphytic plants up there, including ferns, bromeliads, and orchids. So these guys are distinct from parasites that they don't get their nutrients from the host plant, they get it from the surrounding environment. Most of the time, their water comes from the air through their leaves like air plants, and nutrients can also come through the air or from small pockets of dirt and organic matter that accumulate on or in the larger host tree. So the majority of the time, these epiphytic plants are actually very beneficial to the host plant by cycling nutrients, and also very beneficial to the other creatures around it by providing things like nectar or even fruit occasionally. Now, within the whole epiphyte classifications, there are two kind of subclasses, holoepiphytes and hemiepiphytes. A holoepiphyte is a epiphytic plant that spends its entire life cycle up in the tree away from the ground. It has no contact with the forest floor or anything like that. It's only up in the tree for its entire life cycle. Now, some holoepiphytic plants include things like many types of orchids and bromeliads, and occasionally ferns as well. Now, a hemiepiphyte would be something like this guy, the strangler fig. Strangler figs start up in the canopy of other trees, but as they age, they make their way down until eventually they come in contact with the forest floor and develop their own root system in the dirt. Now, strangler figs are interesting, and I will do a larger video on them, but they are still classified as epiphytes instead of parasites, even though occasionally they can cause harm to the host tree by outcompeting them for nutrients and kind of, well, strangling them. However, they are classified as epiphytes because they don't directly take nutrients from the host tree itself. Epiphytes, like pretty much all plants, are incredibly important players, especially up in the treetop canopy, where food and other nutrients tend to be quite scarce. They provide a source of nutrients, of shelter, and water for many creatures, and they're just super cool and a great way for nature to increase biodiversity.